If you're thinking about buying the Oster Pro 1200 blender to upgrade your kitchen, hold up. There's more you need to know before clicking that Add to Cart button. This blender promises powerful blending with smart settings and dual-direction blade technology. But here's what surprised me. It's not all silky smooth sailing. Many rave about its 1200 watts of power and multiple speeds, but some hidden problems could mess with your blending game. So, should you jump on this popular blender hype, or is there a catch lurking beneath the surface? Let's break it down. Right off the bat, the Oster Pro 1200 is marketed as a beast in the blending world. 1200 watts of power, 7 speeds with 3 pre-programmed smart settings, and that dual-direction blade tech that supposedly chops, grinds, and pulverizes better than almost anything else at this price point. Sounds like a blender designed for pros, or anyone who wants a simple one-touch smoothie, salsa, or milkshake on demand. But here's a twist. Not every kitchen will find it so perfect, and it might surprise you what didn't quite speed blend as smoothly as expected. Before you decide, I want to take you through some surprising issues and limitations I found while testing this blender, plus what makes it still a potentially smart buy. I'll also share some simple hacks to boost its performance. So whether you're a smoothie lover, cooking enthusiast, or just someone tired of underpowered blenders, stick around to the end. Because despite some quirks, the Oster Pro 1200 might just be the underrated kitchen tool you didn't know you needed. Now, around 130 words in, and I'm betting you're wondering, is this the blender for me? Well, if you're someone who loves fresh, homemade smoothies loaded with frozen fruit, or you want a machine that can handle ice crushing without sounding like a small tornado, you need to hear this. In fact, the Oster Pro 1200 boasts a 6-cup dishwasher-safe Boraclass glass jar, great if you hate plastic-tasting smoothies, and an extra-large 24-oz smoothie cup that's perfect for single servings on the go. But plate this smart tech with a bit of real-world use, and scheduling smoothies or salsas on a timer isn't always as smooth as its blades promise. Let me tell you a quick story about my first attempt at using the Pro 1200, expecting it to blitz my spinach and frozen bananas with a power that could double as a fireworks display. Instead, what I got was a jar full of chunky surprises. It turns out the blade system, while impressively wide at 3.5 inches with that dual-direction tech spinning forward and backward, sometimes struggles if you dump in too many frozen cubes or don't add enough liquid. So, it's a blender that demands a little respect and balance in your recipes, or else you risk uneven blends or annoying loud motor moments that sound like it's about to launch off your counter. Here's a little joke for you. Why didn't the blender go to college? Because it already had great mix skills. But seriously, that's the vibe you get here. Lots of power on paper, but with a learning curve in practice. However, this doesn't mean it's a bad product at all. On the contrary, Oster backs the Pro 1200 with a 10-year Duralast all-metal drive warranty, emphasizing durability that most competitors can't match in this price range. That makes it a solid investment if you're in it for the long haul. Still, considering price, this blender sits around $99.99 on Amazon, which is a pretty sweet spot for many who want power without paying elite pro prices. But here's the catch. Some users report the buttons can be a bit sensitive or confusing initially, especially the smart settings that promise one-touch blending, but require a bit of trial and error to perfect. Imagine trying to make a smoothie, and the motor decides to pulse instead of blend, throwing off your rhythm. It's like having a friend who's enthusiastic but slightly unpredictably hyper. By now, you might be asking yourself if the Oster Pro 1200 can handle ice crushing like a charm, since that's a primary feature it boasts with all those watts dedicated just to that. The answer is yes and no. It absolutely can crush ice, thanks to the Crush Pro 6 blade spinning in both directions, but it tends to get noisy and sometimes needs a manual pulse or pre-chopping for larger cubes. This isn't a blender that will quietly whisper through your frozen margarita prep. It'll roar, but it gets the job done. And honestly, if your blender doesn't sound like a small blender-sized jet taking off when demolishing ice, is it even trying? Now, let's hit another mini promise. I'll show you exactly who this blender is made for and who might want to give it a pass. If you're someone who blends multiple times a day, think full-service smoothie fanatics or meal preppers. The Oster Pro 1200 can keep up with stubborn frozen ingredients and leafy greens, provided you prep ingredients right. But if you're occasionally blending soft fruits or thin liquids, this blender might feel like overkill or even a bit clunky. Similarly, if you crave absolute silent blending or the slickest smart tech, models with quieter motors and intuitive digital controls might edge this one out. Yet for the price and the warranty, it's hard to beat. Let me toss in another joke to keep this fun. What did the blender say to the smoothie? I'm glad you're not a softie. And that's kind of the truth. This blender's design isn't just for show. Its extra-wide blade system lets ingredients naturally flow down easier, which means less stopping to scrape or stir when the ingredients cooperate. Just be mindful that you do slice fresh fruits and veggies into smaller chunks, especially if you're not a fan of unexpected chunks lurking in your drinks. One feature Oster really nails here is durability. The Boraclass glass jar is dishwasher safe and can handle thermal shock, meaning hot soups can be blended right after cold ingredients without risking cracks or chips. Most blenders in this price range come with plastic jars prone to scratches and lingering smells, so the glass bowl is a big plus. It gives the Pro 1200 a more premium feel, and if you're blending a hot soup or sauce, this matters a lot. Who wants to worry about their container cracking in the middle of dinner prep? Now, about the smart settings. Smoothies, salsas, and milkshakes all have dedicated buttons, which sounds like a dream for busy mornings. But in practice, expect some experimentation. I realize that sometimes the pre-programmed timings aren't quite perfect for my personal taste, and tweaking with the manual speeds was required. For example, the salsa setting tends to underblend chunky ingredients if you load it too fully, so manual pulse bursts are often needed for control. This actually leads me to a critical takeaway. The pulse feature is your best friend here for precision. Still skeptical? Here's a question worth asking. Would this blender impress a professional chef or just a home user? The pros I talk to appreciate the 10-year metal drive warranty and power, but admit it's not quite the same as a commercial model. For everyday household use, it's a beast. For heavy daily restaurant use, maybe not. But honestly, how many of us blend literally every hour on the hour? That said, it's definitely a step up from your basic kitchen blender and close to models twice the price. A little humor break. Why do blenders never get invited to parties? Because they always get stuck in a whirl. But truly, the Oster Pro 1200 does add a lot of fun to your kitchen, once you figure out your blending rhythm. To wrap this up with a clear verdict, the Oster Pro 1200 blender isn't perfect, but it brings serious power, versatility, and durability to the table at a very respectable price. Its few quirks, like noise levels, occasional blending unevenness with super frozen chunks, and interface learning curve, don't outweigh what it delivers. Fast blending, excellent ice crushing, smart settings to simplify your cooking life, and a sturdy glass jar that's dishwasher safe. If you value a powerful blender that stands the test of years backed by a solid warranty, this might be your new kitchen workhorse. If you're ready to upgrade your blender game without breaking the bank, check out the Oster Pro 1200 with the link in the description below. Grab the best price available on Amazon today. Whether you're making smoothies, sauces, or frozen drinks, this machine will quickly become your favorite kitchen sidekick, even if it growls a bit while working. So go ahead, blend with confidence, and enjoy every sip knowing you made a smart and durable investment. And remember, no matter how serious your blender looks, it's always okay to make a little noise and have some fun along the way.